Hello and welcome to another audio analysis. In today's video we're looking at the track A Symptom of Being Human by the American rock band Shinedown. This song is the fourth single to be released from their previous album Planet Zero, which did land in the middle of last year. And for the band it was an album that really saw them diversify their sound. Although they've always liked to play with different ideas, this album really saw them do that with 20 tracks featuring on the album. This song did come in at number 10 and they have been fairly slow on releasing singles. I mean, the album came out in the middle of last year and we're only just recently getting another couple of singles from it, but this one will certainly have a much softer touch to it. It's something they've done on almost every previous album. They love to throw a softer track into the mix with every single album that they release, and they are really good at dancing between those styles and really keeping that heavy meaning, having those much more emotional tracks. So will the symptoms that come with this track be helpful or harmful? Let's take a look at exactly how it sounds.
I can still remember me and Miss November rain, beautiful and strange, always so inclined, coloring outside the lines. Yeah, you were never on time.
Already I love how we've got this just beautiful, just really simple acoustic guitar, really just kind of adding a just slightly lighter touch to the actual track. And although it's something that the band like to do more at live shows, just let Zach really just kind of be the sole instrument or just make use of those acoustic guitars, with a lot of their other softer tracks on previous albums, you look at songs such as I'll Follow You, they did tend to have a bit more instrumentation built around it. So this is very kind of shallow compared to what we have seen on previous albums. It really does make it feel much more intimate and acoustic. And I love some of the lyrics as well. I can still remember me and Miss November Rain. So there's two ways of looking at this. November Rain, which was a Guns N' Roses track, was actually based on the short story Without You, which was written by Del James and actually published in his book The Language of Fear. And it's actually a story about a rock star grieving over the death of his girlfriend who'd committed suicide. So this could be the idea of that you're remembering someone that has passed away, or it's kind of reflective style of track. Or you could look at November Rain as November tends to be quite a cold month. Rain, it's quite gloomy. So it's this idea, I remember someone who's cold and gloomy or quite distant. So you've got that shown through the other lyrics in this first verse, beautiful and strange. So definitely giving off that reflective idea. And I love the idea of colouring outside the lines. It's that idea of not conforming to something, not kind of following the rules almost, which makes somebody a little bit different. If someone draws outside the lines, they're seen as a bit of a misfit almost because they're not conforming to how you should be doing something. So some really interesting lyrics already in this first verse.
You've always been slightly awkward, kinda weird, upside down and not all here. What's wrong with me and you is crystal clear. Sometimes I'm in a room where I don't belong, and the house is on fire and there's no alarm, and the walls are melting too. How about you? I've never been the favorite, thought I seen it all, till I got my invitation to the lunatic ball, and my friends are coming too. How about you? Don't worry, it's all just a symptom of being human.
I really love some of the lyrics we have got in this verse. This idea of being in a room where I don't belong. This idea of not feeling like you fit in. And that's the same as we had with colouring outside the line. So we're starting to really see this track build up to this idea of not kind of fitting, not belonging somewhere, and your kind of world burning down around you. This idea of the house on fire with no alarm. There's no warning sign when you can feel like everything's just going to collapse around you. And one of the things I really love, I love the lyric "till I got my invitation to the lunatic ball," because this again is another lyric that has different reflective meaning. meanings. So you can look at it this idea of once you meet some crazy people and some friends and you make friends with people that really fit in with you, that really click, your true friends, you can feel like you really belong more. But this can also tie into the idea for the band as a gig, and that's because often you will see a lot of bands really at live performances focusing on this idea of kind of forget our troubles, forget our worries, we're all here to enjoy an evening of music and kind of be one big family. So the Lunatic Ball could be effectively a Shinedown gig. They're bringing all their friends, and they often refer to fans as friends, family, so you can really see how the band could possibly tie that in. I also love the idea of this is all from the first person perspective, kind of from Brent's perspective, which makes it really much more personal, makes it much more intimate, and almost like he's talking to someone, trying to entice someone, that the feelings that you're feeling aren't actually that strange because I'm in a room where I don't belong. How about you? So it's almost like this idea of kind of making it, kind of conveying this idea that it's okay to feel a bit rough at times and to have these things that you're kind of trying to work through. So I like that it's got this more personal touch to the chorus, really helps for people to be able to connect with the track.
Unpack all your baggage, hide it in the attic where you hope it disappears. This all seems so familiar, but it doesn't feel like home. It's just another unknown.
And I like in this verse how we've actually got them kind of tying this idea of a home, something that's supposed to kind of signify security. This idea of when you put stuff you don't really care about, it tends to go in the attic. You kind of forget about it. And I like that sort of that idea of you hope it disappears. It's still there. It still exists. You haven't fully gotten rid of it, but it's just kind of out of the way for the time being. So we have this idea being unloaded of mental health as well, something that's been the band are very much known for kind of talking about and really trying to convey through their music. This idea of unpack all your baggage and kind of hide it away. So kind of put your mental aspects to one side, which is quite what some people do. They compartmentalize a lot of their issues rather than trying to deal with the actual problem, and it causes this idea of this house not to feel like a home. So it creates these insecurities in something that should be really stable.
You've always been slightly awkward, kinda weird, upside down and not all here. Right or wrong, it's all so crystal clear. Sometimes I'm in a room where I don't belong, and the house is on fire and there's no alarm, and the walls are melting too. How about you? I've never been the favorite, thought I've seen it all, till I got my invitation to the lunatic ball, and my friends are coming too. How about you? Don't worry, it's all just a symptom of being human.
And I love how they're really just trying to convey this idea that it's okay to kind of feel rough at times and to really have those struggles. It is a symptom of being human. It's one of these things that you can't really just kind of avoid. It's just one of those things that naturally occurs. And I like that they're using the idea of a symptom. They're not really classing it as a problem. It's just something that comes part and parcel with feelings and how you're feeling. That's what often happens. When you're ill, you tend to feel something. So I like that they're tying these two ideas together, really making it simple and accessible to the listener.
Just passing through, passengers on a ship of fools. We're all just passing through, passengers on a ship of fools. Sometimes I'm in a room where I don't belong, and the house is on fire and there's no alarm, and the walls are melting too. How about you? I've never been the favorite, thought I've seen it all, till I got my invitation to the lunatic ball, and my friends are coming too, on a ship of fools. Don't
I really do love some of these aspects that we have got with this. We're all just passing through, passengers on a ship of fools. Where I love it's very inclusive. It's showing that we're all on this same journey. We're all going to go through this same life. We're all going to have our issues. We're all going to be fools at some point and make fools of ourselves. So we're all on this same journey. Again, a ship is always great for kind of making this idea of life as a journey. So it's always a great sort of metaphor to use in a lot of music. And I love the way they layered the vocals at the end and really raised the levels, bringing in these more orchestral elements and the drums as well, just to really build a bit more of a euphoric ending to the actual part, this part of the track. It really was such a sweet track from the band, and I love how they actually ended it with actually making use of the keys as opposed to the guitar. Open with one instrument and end with the other. Also, in terms of the visuals, I love the fact that they're using lots of references to books and a library. It's this idea that we're all writing our own story. Each book is always unique, and just really tying that idea in with this idea of November Rain. So maybe linking back to that idea of that being a story, and the story's unfinished. You can write your own story. So I like that books often have this metaphor. They're often unfinished, they can be adjusted. The chapter doesn't close until you kind of effectively die, so that's when the final chapter does end, but until that point it is not completely written. So some really great interesting ideas brought through from the visuals as well. But what a sweet track that certainly is, and it's great to see how the band are still able to pour out some of these emotional tracks to really sit alongside some of the rock numbers that they have been very much known for over the years. And one of the most impressive things about this track is definitely how personal Brent Smith is able to make it feel. Really to make it very inclusive, make it feel like it's okay for you to have issues and problems. But I like as well they're tying in the more positive aspects with this idea of the lunatic ball. And it's something that he actually covered in an interview about this track, saying that if he goes on tour with a staff of 70 odd people, it's like a massive family, like a group of friends, and that is the lunatic ball effectively. So it's great that they have close friends that they can actually rely on. And we have seen some elements of that coming through, especially in the chorus when it was certainly most notable. So a couple of different meanings that you really can draw from this track depending on which way you want to look at it. But overall, this track really did serve its purpose in splitting up the album a little bit, really providing a nice break point in the middle of the album. And if you haven't heard Planet Zero before, I would highly recommend doing so. It's got a wonderful mix of different sounds and styles, as we have seen from tracks just like this, that really soothing side. We're also putting on some really strong, heavy pounding rock numbers as well, which does show a lot of diversity from the band. So definitely listen to Planet Zero all the way through if you've never heard it before. And as always, if you want to see more content like this, then please do feel free to subscribe, and I will see you in the next audio analysis.